reach out and see if I could join Rotary. The fire brigade wouldn't have me, but Rotary would. Something about being an arsonist. Yeah, but it was a good time in my life. I just been through a messy divorce, moved out to Rangiora, and I thought I wanted to get involved in the community. And it's so nice to see a lot of familiar faces here tonight. And it really was a prudent time in my life where I sort of really wanted to be part of a community, and I just it is really nice to be back here. So, what have I been doing since I left? Just briefly mentioned, I had a business networking company, and I got small to medium-sized businesses together and helped them network each other and help use each other's resources. Over COVID, my business actually fell over, and I tried to keep it together on Zoom, but I was watching people on Zoom doing other jobs, talking, texting, and not really focusing on what I was doing at the time, and I felt like my company was just falling through my fingers. So I spent 8 years building up a network of people, and when we went through COVID, they all disappeared. So then I thought, well, what can I do with my life? What can I do that I enjoy doing? And I thought, I'm good at teaching people things, even though I'm very dyslexic, and as we may have figured out, I don't read and write very well. I thought I'd start doing online workshops, helping people understand technology. So I started putting together a studio, lights, camera, action, and here I am in front of a camera thinking I've got to make up some interesting stuff so I keep people engaged. So that was okay, didn't work really. And then Helen, my partner here, we needed to find a new place to live because our landlord, owner of the house, decided to sell our house. And we thought, oh my goodness. So then what I did is we couldn't find any place to rent. I nearly come back to Rangiora, but I thought, no, not Rangiora. I have to join Rotary again. No, I didn't say that. But anyway, I did a bit of a marketing campaign because I'm quite good at it. And we got ourselves in the press. And then I had a friend from my business networking company ring me up, said, I saw you guys in the newspaper, and you're obviously looking for somewhere to live. I said, I've got an opportunity for you where I'm going to pick you up on Wednesday night, and I'll take you to a meeting, and there's an opportunity where if you invest in it, you can make enough money to own your own house. And I thought, this guy is on the phone with me. He's only ever been involved in multi-level marketing. I said, Ken, what is the name of the company? No, I'm not going to tell you, because if I tell you, you won't come. You've got to come to the seminar. I said, oh, this is ridiculous. I'm not coming, Ken. So tell me the name, did a bit of research, and I rang him back, mate, it's a Ponzi scheme. No, it's not a Ponzi scheme. I said, it is. They don't have any product or service, and you need to invest money, and they're offering you unrealistic returns on your investment. So if you put $300 in 600 days, you were going to get $900 back. And I said, where does the money come from? Oh, it comes from, or he didn't even know. So I finished up thinking, well, I've got the studio sitting here. Why don't I put together a video to help other people who think this is a legitimate opportunity? And then I did another video, and it went on. I did 200 videos. And then the New York Times come along and said, what are you doing this for, Danny? And I said, who are you? And they said, we're from the New York Times, a bit dubious. So I finished up interviewing me over about 12 weeks to be exact. And they finished up publishing a whole page in the New York Times about my quest to name and shame anyone running or promoting a Ponzi scheme or a scam. And I thought, wow, that's a great opportunity. But what I'm telling you that is that there's so many scams and there's so many Ponzi schemes out there at the moment. Because a lot of people were going through a lot with COVID. They were isolated, there was a lot of loneliness, and they were behind a computer screen. And all these Ponzi schemes were being pushed to people through people jumping on a call, and they would see all these people, and then somebody who was good at talking, good at convincing, good at offering people opportunities of a lifetime, offering them a paradise that never really eventuated, were thinking they would part with their investments. One of the Ponzi schemes I were investigating, they had coerced 1.5 million people into investing the minimum of $300. You get your calculator out, that's $4 billion worth of money that had disappeared. And I would literally get people ringing me up saying I invested $150,000. One guy rang me up and said he invested $5 million. I went, oh my goodness, $5 million, what made you do that? And he said, oh well, I've been involved in NASDAQ and I know how these things work, I know the money that goes back and forth. And I said, where did you get the $5 million from? He said, oh, it's my family money. 113 people in his family got together, $5 million into a Ponzi scheme, gone. And he wanted me to help him find it back. I've got one guy who was on a sickness benefit, put $25,000 of his life savings, that's all he had, into this Ponzi scheme, that was gone. I could probably every single day, just on Tuesday, somebody told me they put $450,000 into a Ponzi scheme, lost it. $30,000 a lady yesterday told me she put into a Ponzi scheme, and she had borrowed the money from some bank to invest in this Ponzi scheme and lost a lot. And I just get them all day long. So, do you guys know anything about crypto? Excellent. So my ideal demo, either do I. I'm not really a crypto guy. I don't have anything to do with crypto, but it's a unregulated currency which enables people to get money from people more easily than them transferring money from bank to bank. Now, does any of your children have crypto? Good. I hate it. I can't stand it. I just think it's an inflated money that... so how these scams work, or how can you guys sort of like, if anyone rings you up with an opportunity that's too good to be true, that's the biggest red flag that I see. It's quite simple, but it's quite obvious. So then the next thing is, how do so many people get fooled by these Ponzi schemes? I mean, I literally have got a database of 400 people that are out there promoting these Ponzi schemes to people, because they simply go after a demographic of people. They're all, normally in America it's the black African community. They all have beliefs in religion, and they seem to target that community because they're trusting. They believe that it's like, who do you think would introduce you to a Ponzi scheme? Any idea?
A friend.
Yep, a friend or a family member. And this is how these scammers get away with it. Because I've literally had conversations with one of the big in the world, and they were asking me if I knew the whereabouts of a lot of these scammers. And I'm sitting here with, big scammer networks, and they're trying to figure out where the money is. And people want to go after the people. They want to get their money back because they feel like they've been scammed. And there's petitions. I just left, there's a petition group out there at the moment. They're trying to collect 3,000 people that say they've been scammed. 1.5 million people have been scammed by one of these organisations, and only 1,600 people want to report it. That's because a friend or a family member had introduced them into it, and they don't want to dob their family member into it. So the guy that introduced spent $5 million, the person that introduced them to it would have got a 20% referral fee. So they would have got $1 million from introducing somebody that spent $5 million. So then I say to them, well, if you want to do anything about it, go back to the person that referred you into it and prosecute them for giving you financial advice when they weren't a regulated financial advisor. And they go, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. It's a friend of the family. It's my sister. I can't take the sister. Go on. Because she's off doing it still. And often you'll find these scammers just rinse and repeat, do it over and over and over again. Anyway, so I built myself a bit of a reputation. I've been on Radio New Zealand a couple of times talking about it. Been in the Otago Times. I had a 4-page spread in the Listener. And it's been quite good to create a lot of public awareness about scams. I don't really have any prevention for to sort of tell you guys, I can't stop people giving their money away. It doesn't. I had a guy who sent me an email. He said, "I've just watched your video on this scam called Wee Global, and have you got a more recent video? Because I'm still not sure it's a scam." I said, "Look, I produced 5 videos on these guys. We actually managed to get one of these scam companies that were coming to the Novotel airport in Christchurch. They had booked 5 venues to do a promotion. I rang up every single one of these venues and said, do you realise you're hosting an event for a bunch of scammers? And they go, oh yeah, but we can't get involved in who's at our events. So I said, well, your name's got to be really public when I'm finished with you because you didn't heed my warnings. So Novotel Christchurch Airport, we rang them up, we did all we can. 24 hours before they ran the event, the Novotel, the FMA, the Financial Regulation of New Zealand, flagged this place as this company that was about to host their event as a Ponzi scheme. It's quite annoying, isn't it? As a Ponzi scheme. And then one of the biggest scammers that was running the events rang me up to reassure me that the FMA had the information wrong. And they were going to sue the FMA for not understanding their business model, and they're also going to sue me for publicising false facts. The next 2 events that they ran in Australia were cancelled, and the guy that was running the event held the plane up in Sydney as they took his bags off because he was too scared to come to New Zealand thinking he was going to get arrested. He flew back to Dubai, and he's still running these Ponzi schemes today. So that was all right. So I've had a lot of success. I've caused a lot of riff. I only have about 4,500 people on my YouTube channel, but I'm publishing lots of videos. That was all good, and I'm thinking I'm pretty cocky. I'm safe here in New Zealand. I do what I like. And then in December the 22nd, I got a cease and desist letter from a big scam company I really busted, really big time. And it was our holiday. We were in Auckland. And then all of a sudden, I thought, I know what I'll do. They wanted me to take off my videos, or they're going to do a big lawsuit against me. So I spent 2 weeks researching even more. I got really deep into this research, and I produced a 4-hour, 47-minute long video, and I just destroyed the guy. This guy had his own country called the United Allied States. He was sworn in by Congress, and he was the president of a fake country, and it was big. This wasn't made up. You could join this country for $6,000. At the age of 22, this guy had done a Kickstarter campaign to raise $29,000 to hunt live dinosaurs in the Congo. When he got there, he lost all his gear and he didn't have his paperwork in order. He was going home to do another scam. This guy ran a competition where he was giving away 2 Tesla Cybertrucks, 2 sports cars, $2 million worth of crypto, and $1 million worth of real gold. And when the competition was drawn, the 2 people that won the 2 cars that he had, not the 6, wanted to remain anonymous. This guy was so far out there, I thought, well, he's easy. Anyway, so I did this video together, sent it back to the lawyers as my reply to the cease and desist letter, and thought this is going to be hilarious. Anyway, a couple of months later, I got a defamation case thrown at me for $3.8 million from the same guy. He was going to sue me for $3.8 million because I fully exposed him and he wanted to take me to the cleaners. Now, do I look like I have $3.8 million? So I was a little bit worried. Helen was quite wee bit nervous. She's pretty good though. She didn't flinch at all, just maybe a little bit. So we then went about getting advice from lawyers. I went to the High Court because he lodged this in the High Court, and I said, I'd like to represent myself, and they went, no mate, you need to get a lawyer. And I'm thinking, I can't afford to get a lawyer. So I finished up, because of my connections, a guy by the name of David Farrier, he's been in the media quite a lot. He had a couple of lawyers. A guy 6 months prior to that who was a lawyer said, I watch your YouTube channel, I like your videos, if you ever get yourself in the shit, he said, give me a ring. G'day mate, how you doing? You're in the shit. Yeah. He said, look, we might be able to get you legal aid. What's legal aid? So fortunately enough, he got me legal aid, and then he said, our company can't take you on, and I got 2 of the best defamation lawyers in New Zealand fighting this case with this guy called Stephen McCullough is the guy's name. And I have learned so much about what not to say and what to say. But these 2 lawyers said, we have watched 10 hours of your videos and you have done a really good job at exposing this scammer. Just sit back, relax, and let us do what we do well. That was a bit of a relief. So it got to the stage where if anyone tries to scam you, tries to sue you, and they're outside of New Zealand, they actually need to put the money where their mouth is, and they need to put up security for costs. So my lawyer said, now if we're going to sit there with a jury and a judge, we need to watch all 10 hours of your videos. And so that's going to be good, at least I get some views. Anyway, so they said, we'll need, this is a 4 to 6 week trial. And I go, oh my goodness. They said it's predicted it could cost $300,000 to $400,000. And I go, well, I'm glad I got no money for this. So anyway, we filed a security for costs. We went back to their lawyers and said, give us $150,000 if you want to do this. No, we don't think you need that much money. So we had to go to the judge and do an affidavit. But in the meantime, the guy had tried defaming me. So he alleged that I'd gone to America and I'd literally bashed in his mother's door with a crowbar. Boom! And they put videos on the internet alleging that I'd done this. So that's quite cool. Then they alleged that I had a white supremacist connection with a guy that was chatting in one of my Telegram groups, which is a place where you just sit there and chit-chat to people and we fight scams. And they said that Christchurch had one of the biggest terrorist attacks, and Danny is associated with white supremacist people, and he is a threat to New Zealand. They wrote they had 45 bullet points of things that I had allegedly done. Then they sent that to every government organisation known to New Zealand, and one of them was legal aid, saying that I shouldn't have legal aid because I've lied, all sorts of things. And I'm sitting here reading this stuff going, whoa, I'm pretty bad. They produced probably 50 videos of all the things I've done and the whole 9 yards. It's just like fighting criminals all the way through. And you start to realise that this is a pretty mean and a pretty vicious thing when you take on these scammers. But what happened was, an hour and a half before the judge deemed, we submitted a 217-page affidavit to the High Court judge. This is what this guy's been doing to pick on me. And also we are asking the courts for $150,000 to put into a cost. An hour and a half before it went, he tried to negotiate out of court, and he's offered to pay all my legal fees, which are up to about $32,000. If I removed my videos, he would pay my legal fees and we'd both walk away. So we refused, and an hour and a half sitting there in the courts before it went to deem that we'd get that money, he put a discontinuance in, and we basically won the case. So now my lawyers are even clever in that, because this guy will probably never pay my legal fees and I'll be lumbered with the costs. So we've now, on next Friday, we'll find out whether he we've asked him to negotiate out of the courts to pay our legal fees so that he doesn't get a court ruling against him, which means I would go to town on him on the internet if he did get a court ruling. So it's I'm just saying my story and what I'm doing, and I think it would be fair to ask you guys some questions, because I don't know, what do you want to ask after hearing that sort of stuff?
Danny, could you briefly describe a typical Ponzi scheme without going into the specifics of one in particular, how they work, what are they trying to...
No, it's a good question. Peter, and you've got Paul. So Peter is stupid, a bit naive, and I shouldn't say he's stupid. He's mum and dad. He's mum and dad investors. He believes what people say to him. They're asking Peter to put money into a Ponzi scheme, meaning they're promising Peter all sorts of things. And then when Peter puts his money in, they go and they give it to Paul. That's right. And a Ponzi scheme doesn't have a product or service. Some of the things they will say to you, they'll use big names. So they will tell you they're building a metaverse. Now, metaverse is like a big Space Invader game. And when you get into the Space Invader game, you can buy things like real estate, fancy pictures, they call them NFTs. And they reckon that it's going to take off and go crazy. So if you're an early investor, it's going to tenfold your money. And then they're going to use that money to pay you in the meantime. Which is obviously, it is so complex. When we were on the way here today, I said, I don't want to overwhelm you with information on how complex it is. But the real sad thing is people will lose $100,000 and then somebody will come along and say, I can get your money back for you. And they will do the whole process again because they've been vulnerable. And then they'll say, for $5,000, I'll get you $100,000 back. Now they've lost $105,000. And then they tell people that there's a chance that we may be able to do a court action lawsuit, or there's a chance you might get your initial investment back, and they just keep going on, and these people just don't let go. It's like they've been too far invested. It's like being at the casino and doubling down on your bets. And they just keep keeping people who have lost their money to keep reinvesting that money and lose it again. It is really honestly sickening. I'm doing it because I just see so many people losing so much money, and they're not. People used to say to me, is it greed? So I'm literally I don't work I have a large database like a hawk, and I used to think that people were doing this because they were trying to get rich quick, and they were greedy people. But then when I've learnt more about how these schemes work, people, because of COVID, because of loneliness, because people are trusting still, they're getting, they are desperate. And it's desperate times. When somebody takes out their life savings, which is $25,000, and puts it into a Ponzi scheme hoping to get rich, that isn't greed, that is desperation of trying to, get their money. I've never, a lot of people think, well, what do I do this for? I've never invested in any of these Ponzi schemes myself. I'm not in a vendetta to get anyone back. It's just, I see some really innocent people ring me up with these amazing stories. It's just, sometimes you get overwhelmed with the different types of stories. I've literally kept a copy of every email I've got from people. I've got about 500 emails from people. One of the biggest scams that took me to court, how they did it, they had these tokens, and they're like crypto coins, and anybody can produce tokens. And they did a marketing campaign for 3 months, and they said to people, when these tokens go on the market, we're going to release them at 25 cents each. So they did a marketing campaign, but if you buy them before they go on market, we'll let you buy them at 15 cents each. So that people are going, it's a no-brainer. And they'll go buy some, go get some more money, buy some more. And then when they released on market day, they never actually gave the people what they bought in the first place, but then they released them on the market at 5 cents each. And people just couldn't fathom that they just got ripped off. So then they reach out to people for help, and they come to me. Those coins today are worth 0 point nothing. They just totally took their money. Now this same company, I've spent probably 6 hours today researching 10 different companies the same organisation has been part of, and they're just doing it again. They're about to do a new one, and they're now releasing their new token at 30 cents. They'll go to a new group of people, they'll rinse and repeat, and they'll fool people into thinking that this is going to happen. They will spend 3 months badgering people, gaslighting people, telling people this is what's going to happen, this is what they're going to do, and then they just get a rude awakening. The next day they look at their computer and they've just lost so much. So we actually, when I was going through this court case, they actually hired the people that had been scammed to try to coerce lies out of me so they could use it in the court case. And to do this, they actually returned the money I interviewed 3 people that had been scammed, and 2 of those people had had their money returned back to them, and they got to keep the worthless tokens that they bought. And then they turned on me and started producing content. And you're sitting here thinking, this is amazing. One guy lost £140,000, and then the next thing he's got that, he goes anti-me, and we never hear from him again. One guy messaged me and said he signed an NDA, which is worthless anyway, telling me that he feels bad, but he won't be bad-mouthing me, but I've got my money back. So then I used that strategy to broadcast on my YouTube channel that if you want your money back, you've got to start up a YouTube channel and start defaming this company, and they will shut you up by giving you your money back. That's a strategy to get your money back. But it worked. Yeah.
Do you charge your clients for?
No, I don't. I want to remain neutral. And what I'm hoping for, what's the method in why am I doing this? I'm hoping, I would love to be over in a Netflix documentary, and I have been actually asked by one, there was Cambridge Analytica when Donald Trump was getting, voted in. There was a company called Cambridge Analytica, and a Netflix a company did a whole documentary on them. Yep. They come to me and they said, we'd like to do a documentary on the rise and fall of crypto, and would one of you want to be part of it? I was in correspondence with them, and then there was a guy called John Bankridge, whatever his name is, the guy that stole FTX money, which is, he defrauded people out of millions of dollars. I think he stole my limelight, and I haven't heard from them since. But that's what I'm hoping for. I'd love to be in a Netflix documentary. I also have Collins and somebody, was it? HarperCollins come to me. They said they'd like to publish a book. And there was also another thing I was hoping for one day, maybe a movie or something like that. But what I'm good with, because I'm with technology-wise, I literally can't read and write, a reading level 9-year-old, but I'm good at collecting databases. And I've got everybody I meet in these Ponzi schemes or these scams, I have a file on them. And then I connect the dots. And I've built this massive, in my head it's as clear as day, massive photo or massive jigsaw puzzle. And the picture's really clear for me. And if this is going to be lethal, because as soon as a new Ponzi scheme starts up, like I said, I was researching 10 today, I can see them all linked together. I can find the head honchos. So one of the head honchos is a guy called Ryan Zhu. Now Ryan Zhu is scam people out of billions of dollars, and I've managed to start chit-chatting to his ex-girlfriend who's had a child to him. And she sent me videos of him doing his vacuuming at home under house arrest. Now this guy has dropped off the planet. No one knows where he is. I've also got videos of him singing karaoke in a Chinese bar. So I gave this guy's in New York, and they go, that looks like China. And I said, no, that bar is in New York. And I said, well, this was only 8 months ago. And by the way, here is a video of him doing his vacuuming in the morning. And here's a video of him crying on his birthday. Where do you get this information from? And I said, I know people. So it's like a 3-month conversation. Every time you send a message, you get one back. That's quite good. And then there was another guy that decided he would go and pay $1.5 million in taxes. He's in the UK. And it got refused because he was trying to take his money out of crypto and put it through the system. Now this same guy has told us, his community, that he's got stage 4 cancer as an exit strategy because he's trying to get it out of, out of this community. But I know the truth, and no one else doesn't really. But I got told this by the tax department in the UK, that this guy had tried to do this, but we've got him, and now he's getting done for money laundering and tax evasion. That's great. And there was another, I've got quite a few stories of one guy texted me one day and said, you're as bad as this other scammer called Sam Lee. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you're telling people I was making $1 million a day out of this hyperverse scam. And I go, yeah. And he goes, not true. I go, well, how much money were you making each day? And he goes, I'm not going to tell you that. And I said, well, I'll stick with my $1 million a day story then. So then this guy tells me that they had been transferring money out of this scheme, and the corporate people, which I say corporate, had been not investing the money where they said they were going to do it. It wasn't going well, trading with new startups, and they've been taking the money out of the scheme and put it into Bitcoin wallets. $842 million. I managed to track a transaction going out of this Ponzi scheme. You might want to investigate where this went, where it went and all this sort of stuff. But I mean, it's sort of weird because I'm not really anybody on the internet, but I actually am privy to a lot of I talk to the big scammers. Another guy got arrested for $120 million fraud. And next thing I can text chat with them. And you're talking to these big, massive scammers. And they're telling you things so they don't jeopardize themselves. They're dobbing their friends in. And it's like I'm involved in a sort of a underworld of mafia sort of style ninja fighters. But that's what I do when I'm working. Yes?
Two-part question. Apart from the examples you gave earlier on about people getting their money back, does anybody ever get their money back?
No.
And second part of the question was where to score these billions of dollars from.
I honestly believe it's a criminal network. I think it's like the cartel. I tracked some real head-up Chinese guy, and he looks like a Donald Trump Chinese style, and they just look dodgy, and it is quite scary when you figure out who is behind it to a certain degree, but they're invisible. You know, like I do videos which are right on the border of telling the truth, but I do that so I get people giving me information. You know, and yeah, I just don't know where the money goes. Oh, I tell you, actually, I lie. I do know where. This is where most people don't realise what the scam is. Multi-level marketers. You know, you've got the guy that rang me up. He'd been in multi-level marketing, Agano Gold coffee sales, or OneCoin, or Melanuka, or Amway. They're all multi-level marketers. Most of those have products. The same multi-level marketers don't have any products, but they're still marketing the same way. So if that $300 that I was talking about that you invested, the person that directly introduced you to it would get 20% of it. And then if they introduce somebody to it, the original person would get 15%, and it went right down. We worked out that 52% of that money that went into the kitty went to the people that introduced you to it. The people that introduced you to it could either reinvest their money into the Ponzi scheme, or they could turn it into USDT, which is basically crypto's version of dollars, and then you can transfer that directly out of crypto. So literally, the $4 billion scam, or whoever's looking where the $4 billion go, you know, over $2 billion of that could have gone out of the system before anyone asked. And not only that, is we probably, at a rough guess, 100,000 people would have promoted that scheme. So now you ask 100,000 people that may have been involved in something in crypto where you can't track it. So that's why I'm doing the public awareness, trying to sort of help people, you know, understand that anything to do with crypto is shady as hell. Gregory.
Rotary Foundation lost millions in the Bernie Madoff scam.
Yeah.
You would have thought that there was an organisation with a bit of nous that was in the Rotary Foundation, because they were taken in by the social standing and Madoff as Paul Harris Fellow. So it is not just a simple person's exercise. But what liability do you think the major internet companies have, who are the purveyors of this information? And if it was published in the press, then the press was assumed the libel. You can't control it on the internet.
What they're doing at the moment is they're trying to shut down the internet banks, the crypto exchanges, and I think that's brilliant. Any bank that you talk, crypto was originally designed as an alternative currency. It was I've even got the terminology myself, unregulated currency. So as soon as it goes pear-shaped, everyone wants to use the regulated law force, and and then they'll go to the crypto exchanges and get them to transfer the money from crypto into real money. So as soon as they cripple the crypto exchanges that allow these transactions to happen and go, well, enjoy if you want to go buy a new Tesla, I don't know if you still can, but at one point you could use your Bitcoin to buy your Tesla. Actually, some useful information I have actually learned. Do you know what the blockchain is? Imagine you've got 1,000 computers behind me, and every time I do a transaction, it goes through all those thousands of computers to verify it's real and genuine. The problem with it is if I went to buy a new Tesla, the transaction could take 15 to 20 minutes. So it's not practical. You imagine going to the supermarket, Robin, and waiting with people there waiting 20 minutes to buy a bunch of bananas. So
Quite often.
yeah. I heard that. Yeah. So that's the honest truth of it. It's not actually a practical thing. So now you've got all these little crypto companies saying that they're going to start up their own blockchain computers. They're going to have 10 computers over here that are going to be faster. And once the transaction's finished, then it will link into the big blockchain, and then that will do the nuts and bolts trading. But now how do we trust these 10 banks of computers that are authentic? And how do we know they're actually plugged into the real blockchain? So there's so many vulnerabilities that people think I like crypto. I don't like it. Out of spite, I bought some crypto of a friend of mine because he used to have me, you've got to be into crypto. And I did actually I put $400 in, and at five times its worth, and I think I got 1,200 out. Now this same guy, now this is quite a good story. He was a Chinese immigrant, that's right, yep. And he said to his parents, give me your life savings, $385,000 and I will invest it in crypto. So over 2 years, he built that up to, now I could be wrong, it was 5 million. And he was just like, I'm so cool, I know all about crypto, I've got $5 million here. He took it all out, which means once you take the money out of crypto now, you would have had to pay a whole lot of tax. This guy didn't have an accountant, but crypto kept going up. So then he thought he would put the whole lot back in. He put the whole lot back in, and then within 2 weeks, it dropped. And then he had $2 million left. So if you work that out, he was sitting in my driveway in tears wanting to end his life because he just blew all the money. He lost all his money, couldn't comprehend it. He went from high to low. And he said to me, well, first of all, it's American dollars, it was his parents' money. He'd already told his parents how much money he'd made. Now, they wanted to immigrate to New Zealand. I think you need $5 million to do that. So their hopes were gone. And also he had the shame of telling his parents, Chinese style, not a good thing. Anyway, he's fine now. We've talked him around, but he's still not really involved in crypto. But that's sort of the stories that you hear all day long. I mean, imagine going to, on my story that I tell people over and over again, is I go to the bank, I put $10,000 in the bank, I walk away for 12 months, I come back, I got $10,000, and people, oh, you didn't get any interest, and you go, yeah, but I still got $10,000 in the bank. Imagine going back to your bank, and they go, oh, we've just lost $7,000 of your money. You'd be sitting there going, that's not fair. But at least we get there. And they go, oh, the people often say, oh, everyone's crooked. They just reprint money and the world economy and all these stories. But we all live in the same world. I often say to people, I'm pretty entrepreneurial. I say, go out there, find a product or service. Provide that product or service. Make a profit. Put your $1,000 profit on top of your $10,000. You've made 10%. Think like that is much more productive than putting your money on artificial inflated nothing. Anyway, that's back with me. Oh, David?
It sounds a bit, but remember years ago they talked about pyramid selling? And in the end it collapses in its own weight because there just aren't enough people in the community or in the world to support it. And some of this crypto investment sounds a bit to me like that.
Yeah, it's just exactly like that. And there's not enough Peters to pay Paul. And Pauls get really greedy. The problem with a lot of these crypto scams, they literally were just sucking out. You remember how I said 52% of the money went out commissions? So how one of the big companies fell over is people were creating there's a 21 account structure. They would create 21 accounts under their own name. So as soon as their friend come along and dump their money into it, they would get that 52% straight out for themselves without having to share it with other people. And then in India was actually what killed it. They created multiple accounts. And the whole system just collapsed within days. And then the people behind the scheme claimed that they'd been hacked by a hacker and he had stolen all the money. They come up with all these amazing stories. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, I think we're pretty good done. Yes, one more?
Given that you had communication with some of these scammers and etc., do you have any concern about your own personal security and know who you are?
Yes, yeah. And I thought I was pretty hidden. About 2 months ago, chased around the streets of Christchurch by an irate driver. Finished hanging out the back of his car and smashed out my back window with a crowbar. And I thought, oh my goodness, because he didn't merge. And I'm going through my head, oh my goodness, this must be one of the scammers coming after me. But no, you do. But saving grace is New Zealand, and one of the biggest Ponzi scheme busters on the internet is a guy called CoffeeZilla. and he's got 2 million subscribers, and he busts these big guys. And he gave me his phone number and said, "Bring me up." And he told me that in New Zealand, defamation law is really interesting. Like, we have to prove that what I say is true and correct. In America, it's the other way around. The scammer has to prove that the accusations aren't right. So he said, "You're in a unique position." And I think that was probably what saved me. Not that I want to play with fire, but I do believe I'm making a difference. And I got nothing else to do with my time. Hey, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. All right.